Mustache ready. What's going on, guys? Welcome on back to the Second and Short podcast in our fantasy football edition of The Cheap Seats, where, if you saw Jason's tweet from this week, we provide you guys some Dynasty and fantasy football clarity from the cheap seats. Now, speaking of which, Jason got to go and see the electric, the awesome, the high-flying... Just kidding. He went to the Jets and Bills. Tell us about your experience in good old Jacksonville in that high-scoring 15 total points game.
Dude, I mean, it was an absolute shootout, shit show, something beginning with an S. It was definitely that. Very disappointed. I mean, I expected a lot. It cost me a $600 parlay because the Bills not only lost, they didn't cover. That was the only game that didn't cover. It was an experience. I really hate the city of Jacksonville for after its post-game traffic. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. But the overall experience, it was really cool. I mean, we got there. Really nice stadium. Stadium was a lot nicer than what I expected.
The Cons got some money. They've got some money.
Super laid out. We was right beside where the pool was. So I had a nice little view of the party deck going on. So that was always a plus. So can't complain too much. But it was fun. It's something I would do again, but I would not want to watch that much offense because, I mean, I was barely able to contain myself with the shootout that we had on our hands.
Those high flying, those big plays, central. But in all seriousness, I mean, you had a better time than me. I work at a sports bar, for those that know, and I got hammered. At one point, I had like 17 tables. It was the most miserable Sunday I've ever had. And I was so tired that, like, rewatching, like, when I don't catch games, I go back through for some behind the scenes, some breaking the fourth wall. I go and watch those YouTube clips where it's like 19 minutes. You can watch the whole game, the highlights. I was so exhausted. Doing that was like a chore for me. And normally it's like the most fun thing I can do, but it was a chore. So let's go ahead and let's kind of jump into our episode. We've been, dragging along for a while. And if you're staying with us, thank you. Hit that subscribe button down below, like this video, and be ready as we're going to talk about what to do if you're stuck in the middle of the road. You're on the train tracks. Your car has died and you don't know what to do. You have to panic, though, and you got to do one or two things. You got to get out and run away from that car and it's gone forever and it just blows up and you don't care. Or you got to try your hardest to fix that car in that quick couple seconds and get it moving. And what, of course, we're talking about, instead of using all these, little descriptions here, you're 4-5 or you're 5-4. The worst place to be in fantasy football right now. You are ranked 7th out of 12. You're ranked 9th out of 16. Whatever your fantasy league is, in Dynasty, we're talking Dynasty today, you're in the worst possible spot you can be in. So how the fuck are we going to fix this shit? Well, we're going to go back and forth here. We're just going to kind of spitball. This is going to be a freestyle type of thing. We're going to M&M this on 8 Mile Track, and we're going to give you guys options to do if you are either going to quit being in the middle of the road of going backwards or going forwards. So I think the biggest thing that you need to do here, and I'm going to let you elaborate on this, is establishing your key strength. I think that is the most important thing. You need to, if you're an offense only, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, you need to rank them on how good they are. And then you need to improve number 4 if you're going to try and get better. Or you need to get rid of number 1 if you're trying to get worse.
Yeah, this is a really good strategy because you're right there on that cusp. Do you do the push for the playoffs because most leagues trade deadlines coming up? Do you make that push for the playoffs, or do you make that push to fold the season and use the draft to rebuild and get that better draft position? So it's a really awkward, funky situation to be in. So this is where you do. You definitely want to go through and rank your team, like you said. A good way to do that, there's plenty of free apps out there that you can just plug and play your thing. But also, personal preference, go against that. Use a medium. Go through, get a couple of these websites, plug players in, see what the algorithm defines your strength and weakness versus what you do, come to a happy medium, and then rank your players out of that. Because you may be holding on, like I am, in mine of your league, 3 starting quarterbacks that are currently in the top 10, and I can't move them. Why? Because people don't want to improve their team to compete with you, who's sitting with 1 loss. We won't say who that loss is to. Just you have 1 loss in our league.
We're talking about our league. We're on the number 1 team, and I'm number 1 highest scoring team. Okay, I got to drop that in.
Yeah,
there.
with that one, with that 1 loss to me. But anyway, teams don't want to make that push because they see your team, and a lot of our league mates are kind of basically packing it in because they feel that they don't have the firepower to contend with you for the league title this year. Me, on the other hand, who's sitting there with a bunch of should have ones, I'm making that push because I've already beat you once. I just wanted to hope I'll meet you in the playoffs and beat you again.
For some reference, everybody, and this league is talking about that we share, and he is currently 3-6. However, he has 5 coulda ones, which means like one of his players' projections they didn't hit, and if they would have hit, he would have won. So we're looking at potentially him being. I mean, he has 3 coulda lost, so but like 2, so he could be sitting at 5, 6, 7 wins in this league, but instead he's 3-6 because guys haven't hit. But his all play record is just about 500, and his power ranking is 5 out of 12. But you're right. I mean, you are sitting with some good quarterbacks, and you're in a struggle. Like, what do you do? Because realistically, right now, you're the perfect example of this. Because if we go based on just standings, you are sitting around. Technically, I think you're at pick.
I think I'm 8th,
3 or 4. Yeah, pick 8th. I think you're 9th. Based on record, you're 9th. Not PowerPoints, but on record, you're 9th. Which puts you at like pick 4. Now, pick 4 is okay, but that's like Rashad Penny, right? We don't want Rashad Penny. That's like getting. I mean, this next class isn't that great. So let's just break down your team. This is what we're going to do today. We're going to break down your team, and you're going to expose yourself to everybody on what you're going to do. I'm sorry. What you said? We're just going to go with the flow. This is what you said before we went live.
Yeah.
We're going to go with the flow.
Go with
Let's expose your team, and let's break down what you're going to do in our league, because you are the ultimate example of this. Like I said,
yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I'm sitting here with 3 quarterbacks, 3 QB1s. That would be a QB1 on any team. I've got Murray, Brady, and Stafford. I've shopped them around. Nobody wants to upgrade the quarterback. And I've shopped them around pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Low end second, upper third. Some wiggle room.
Single quarterback, mind you, everybody. Single quarterback league.
Yeah, full. Is this? Yeah, this is full PPR.
Mm-hmm. He's not out here offering Kyler Murray for a second in a super flex.
Yeah,
I don't want people to think like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not offering. I offered Kyler Murray to somebody on this podcast, and they didn't want him. But we're talking to. I'm trying to help somebody out by renting Brady for a year or 2. Just give them that bump. Now my running backs are kind of middle of the road. I've got some good people. Injuries have kind of derailed me a little bit. People not meeting expectations is really key, because I'm looking at Alex Collins because I had to pick somebody up.
Yep.
I got him off the waiver wire. Eckler, top 5 PPR running back. Fournette, who is having a good year and
outperforming his projection right now.
And then I've got the mess of a backfield in Singletary and Moss.
Don't forget Adrian Peterson.
Well, I was getting to that. And I just got Peterson off the waivers. As soon as Henry went down, I was able to get Peterson off the waivers because I had I had that expendable fab to throw out there against teams. So yeah, my running backs aren't like elite. I have a great RB1. Then I've got middle road flex low end RB2s. So that's something to think about. Now, my wide receivers. I have two solid wide receivers in DK Metcalf and Mike Evans.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I drop off tremendously to Cole, Christian Kirk, Emmanuel Sanders, who's having a resurgence in Buffalo, and Cedric Wilson, who's sporadic due to injuries. He's people being hurt, and he's plug and play, having some key things. My wide receivers don't leap off the page at you to be spectacular.
You're top heavy. You're top heavy is what you are right now.
Yeah, I don't have that third wide receivers three, but I do make up it with tight ends. Tight ends, I've got a nice little area because I've got Ertz, I've got Goddard, Gerald Everett, who isn't doing nothing in Seattle currently, and then I had to go out and pick up Njoku, who with OBJ's departure, we'll see an uptick upfield in Cleveland. And then that's pretty much our offense because we got kicker and defense, but those don't really factor into anything. So here's my team. So this is where I think I need to make moves. One, I need to unload one of these quarterbacks.
Tom Brady needs to leave your team.
Yes, Brady, or I'd be okay with Stafford.
Okay,
I'm going to build around Murray. Murray's the consistent. He's the must stay. I think I can do that. A mid to late second, early third. I think that's good value for Brady. Now Stafford, I can wiggle some. And I'm all about package deals. I love doing package because I think that's where you get the most value out of somebody.
Yeah.
And I need to unload one of these tight end ones, preferably Goddard.
Yeah,
is who I'm shopping there, because I need to get that wide receiver 3 or RB, a solid RB 2. That because I'm top heavy there with Eckler. I need to upgrade to a good RB2. I've got a little depth that can plug and play. Fournette is not a consistent. He's not going to be an anchor on this team. So this is something I need to address. So I've got some pieces I could move. Like I could package Brady and Goddard for a decent RB2 or, a solid wide receiver 2.
So I think here's the issue though. So for reference for everybody listening, if you're not watching, I guess if you're watching, still reference, he is 2 games out of the playoff spot. So he's there. Like he's within region. We have this is week 10 coming up. We got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We got 5 weeks of regular season that you can make up 2 games easily. Especially considering the fact that you've already beat me. I'm the number 1 team in the league. So you can beat teams that are scoring high points. Problem is, if you only win 3 of the next 5 games and you find yourself still out of the playoffs, now you've played yourself into the 5th or 6th pick in the draft, which to me, if you didn't trade for it, is pointless. That's just me. Right. That's just me. Now, if you were right now to sell guys that were older, sell Mike Evans, sell Zach Ertz, sell Brady or Stafford, get rid of Adrian Peterson if you can. That's a hard sell. Sell Emmanuel Sanders. You could be able to pull up where you could get a mid first, a late first, maybe a mid second. Maybe you pull some strings and you get some 2023 picks, as the fucking Reddit community is all nerding out over right now, saying it's going to be a great draft class, which here's my thing. First of all, fuck all of you guys that are like Dynasty Devy nerds. I'm going to be honest right now, that are like 2022 class is going to be bad. 2023 class is going to be good. You know what? All of you fucking marks out there said Monty Ball was going to be draft him 1-1. He's legit. You know who I really like at 1-3? I'm going to draft Javid Best this year because he's legit. Like, you guys are always wrong. You're always right. When I say that, I mean, there's no consistency at all. It's a 50-50 coin toss. we can know if these guys have a good athletic profile, if they test well at the combine, if they perform well in college, and they get drafted to a good system, they can do well. And no shit. If every domino in my life fell the correct way, I get a goddamn promotion. No shit. So saying the 2022 class is going to be bad is stupid in my eyes, because the 2020 class was electric. I mean, we had some great running backs, some good receivers, and then all of a sudden, 2021 won't be that good. Well, Jamar Chase looks like he could have been the number one receiver in the 2020 class. He really does. He looks just as good. Guys like Najee Harris look like he could have been the 1-1 in 2020. So we got to tone this back.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And anybody that listens to me, I was not a truther for Chase or Harris. I was not hyped up them. They're proving me wrong, and I'll eat crow on that. But yeah, I'm a firm believer of nobody has a damn crystal ball. You can't predict anything. A lot of people, solidify college success with immediate pro success. Hello, have you met Jamarcus Russell? Have you met Ryan Leaf? I mean, have you? Let me introduce you to Eddie Lacy, who had a couple of good years. Yeah, it's not going to very transition immediate. And that's, I'll get it. Let me climb up on my soapbox here, because for every Derrick Henry you have coming out of Alabama, there's an Eddie Lacy. Or for every Derrick Henry, there's Ron Dane. A Heisman Trophy winner who fizzled out. Javad Best. And most recently, I was a Ronald Jones truther. Hello, I'm a Ronald Jones truther. I thought he was electric in college. I thought he was going to transition well. He's buried on the depth chart at Tampa Bay. He's got a great offensive running, but he can't break into it because of Fournette and the people ahead of him. So this is, I'm not a Devy person. I hate Devy leagues. Let me go ahead and say that. I absolutely despise them. I think they're fucking useless, because you can't predict the future, and you're trying to base a team around an unpredictable factor that you're going to be in play.
No,
at least with the rookie of the combines and stuff, you have some idea.
Yeah, and you know what, you're right, because we can't predict these things, and that's what I'm trying to get at and kind of establish to these people. Now, here's the thing: the 2022 draft class might not be as strong as you want it to be, but we don't know that, because landing spot means a lot to some people. But then again, everybody was like, "Oh man, DeAndre Swift got drafted to Detroit. They got this great guy called Kerryon Johnson. We can't trust the Just be patient. If these guys are good talents in college, they're going to do well in the NFL more than likely. But we're not here to talk about Devy talk. We're not here to project about this. So we're here to talk about what to do. 4-5, 5-4, maybe 3-6 in your case. Here's my thing. It is so much easier to sell off assets for picks than it is to buy assets from people and try and contend, and maybe you still get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. The problem we have with this is, you just talked about this, as soon as you want to contend and push and maybe be that final wild card spot in your playoffs, you've got to maybe send away a future first round pick, which means now you're paying for another year in fantasy. And even though realistically that should be easy, because you're in a dynasty league, you should be committed, right? It's still an uneasy feeling, because you're having to give away future money for something you don't know about. It's a risk, and people don't like taking risks out there, except for I feel like that's kind of turning thanks to like TikTok and social media, because now we're seeing you're on it, but we're seeing people parlay like crazy and taking bets like crazy all over the place. But selling assets and getting rookie picks is so much more valuable. And I think doing it now is the most beneficial time, because let's say you're 4-5 and another team is also 4-5, but they want to go for that push. I mean, you sell them Mike Evans, you're getting there first. They're probably going to end up with the 7th pick in a 12-team league. But to them, they just won. They're going to the moon. And you get the 7th best rookie, and you get to move out of the spot. And then you also have a top 5 pick on top of that. So the problem with our podcast here today is that we can't give you a definite answer. We can kind of tell you what we do. Jason's not going to tell you what he do, because I'm in the league with him. And for some reason, he doesn't want to tell, because we have people that listen to this that are in our league. But yeah, I truly believe that if you want to get out of being in the middle of the slump, what you have to do is just make a fucking decision. Don't comment on people on TikTok, even though we love it. Hey, who should I start? Who should I sit? Should I trade this guy for this guy? Don't do that. Sit down, put a pen and paper, rank your offensive assets, and go, can I win with this team? No. Okay, start selling. What can I get, or what am I okay to get? And then start selling. You got Mike Evans. You know what you should do? In my opinion, you should be trading for a 1st-round pick in Darnell Mooney. That's just me. If you can get the 110 in Darnell Mooney, that's a fucking win for me, because he's 28. Mooney's 23. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not telling you to do this right now, because you have Mike Evans. But you just got to make a move, or you need to say, hey, here's Matt Stafford. Here's Dallas Goedert. Give me, I don't even know who to say to give me. Give me Adam Thielen right now. Give me Adam Thielen and give me Myles Gaskins. Give me these guys that are going to help me win now in some way.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, you could target maybe somebody that's not high on David Montgomery right now. With the quote unquote uncertainty that people like to stir. Now, going back to what you said is, do your thing first, then come to our TikTok and ask us who to start, sit, and get advice, because sometimes our personal bias clouds our judgment. That's where you need a mediator, and you get that outside perspective, because everybody has a player that they've got blinders to. Mine just so happens to be Mike Evans. Mike Evans, I have blinders to. Will I look at offers for him? Yes, but I may value him more than what his actual worth is, and that's where you need an outside perspective. So definitely look us up on TikTok or Twitter. Get some outside perspective. But first and foremost, do your homework yourself. Because, you might have Evans up there higher, and then you come and say, well, this is where I have Evans. Well, pump the brakes. He's not a top 5 wide receiver. But you may have him as a top 5 receiver. And and get a discussion with somebody outside looking in, because sometimes you don't see the forest because of the trees. And that's some fancy clarity that we're here to offer. Are we always right? No. If you follow my bold predictions or something, sometimes I just go ape shit crazy with my bold predictions, because it's a bold prediction. It's exactly what it is. Bold prediction. Sometimes I'll tell you this, a quarterback is going to get 25 points after he tears his ACL. It happens. It happens. But, you getting that clarity, getting that second, third opinion may help you, because you could be like, well, there is this team that they're kind of weak at receiver, but man, they've got all these running backs. And let's test the waters. Let's do a wide receiver for, especially in a full PPR. You may not be a pass catching running back, but they get vulture touchdowns.
No, and you're right.
Balances everything out.
No, I think you're right, and 100%. And for me, if you're trying to, let's talk about single quarterback. You're in a situation where maybe you can trade away. I mean, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford are top tier. Really, you could probably get rid of Kyler Murray. I mean, if you want to rebuild, you send away Matt Stafford and hopefully you can get Mac Jones and a first. And you know what I mean? Probably won't happen, but it gets super flex, maybe. But maybe like Mac Jones and a second, something like that. You know what I mean? Where you can kind of tear down. But let's go back, rewind. Let's go back to our beginning segment when I opened this up and I talked about it. You need to rank your positions down. If you are running back heavy, it's number one. That's the best thing about you. I don't give a shit if I improve this. I don't, whatever. I don't care. And you keep going down. And when you see your team laid out like that, like, oh man, I am bad at receiver. Okay, you're probably not going to win this year because you're bad at receiver. And that's very important. I think you can get by with mediocre tight end and quarterback play in a single quarterback, but you have to have good receivers and running backs to win a championship, in my eyes. Maybe you're sitting at 4 and 5 and you have Cordell Patterson on your roster. What the fuck you doing? Get rid of him. Bye. You're strong. You have Eckler, Leonard Fournette. Maybe you have Cordell Patterson as number 3. Get him out of there right now. Trade him away. Maybe you only get a second. And you're like, well, he's doing so well. That's okay. It's not about milking out the most you can from the system. This isn't the American government we're trying to rip off right now. These are people you're playing fantasy with that you're trying to make them feel good about a trade. But if you move ahead 3 steps on the board we're playing, you're actually in a better position. That's where we have to look at these moves. And I'm exposing myself right now because when I make trades, I want you to feel like I just gave you the freshly baked chocolate chip cookie and a nice glass of milk. And you're like, holy shit, this cookie's warm. This milk is nice and cold. It's great. Your hindsight is terrible. Like you're blinded right now by what I'm showing you. It's shiny, it's new, it's warm, it's fresh. But what you're giving me is going to benefit me down the road. I don't care what anybody says. I just took away Travis Kelce from somebody and I just robbed him dry, in my opinion. I don't care. We can kind of talk about it here. I gave him Tony and I gave him Michael Carter and I gave him a late second. We're talking 212 because I'm going to win this league. Let's be honest. I don't need those guys. They're irrelevant. Carter was my number 5 running back. Tooney was my number 5 receiver. I got Kels for nothing.
Yeah, you won that trade hands down. And as soon as I seen the trade, I messaged you and I was like, dude, I'm calling the cops. I'm reporting this rape. This trade rape did not go down. I cannot believe that I witnessed this.
But
I had the cops on the line. But
you're an accomplice. We message a lot. You knew what I was sending. You're an accomplice.
No, I was an accessory after the fact.
Yes.
Because once I got the message that says I got Kels. Let's see. Oh, and I sent you a message. I'm like, dude, I can't believe that. And he'll listen to this podcast. And yes, we are talking about you. Yes, we're going to put you on blast because that was a horrific trade in your opinion. You're a middle of the road team. You just stacked the number 1 team. Yeah, and you felt good coming away from it. That's why you done the deal.
So, okay, so let's talk about one thing. Let's kind of put a bookmark in this. We'll come back and revisit it. So let's talk about, we're just going to go with, you're going to rebuild, right? Like you're in the situation where, not saying you specifically, but let's just say any team you're on, you have 5 or less wins and you're like, okay, I'm committed to this rebuild. I'm going to get out of this middle state. But nobody wants to give you 2022 picks. Are you willing to trade for 2023 picks, knowing you're not going to get those value 2 years away? Like, is that something that you're okay to do? Because I know some people that'll stockpile years in advance and be like, I don't care. I'm going to eat in 3 years. Like, what do you take on this of getting picks years beyond?
I'm torn because we have somebody that's done that. We had this year, he stockpiled picks. And I think all but 5 picks in the first round he had.
For 2021, you're saying?
Yes, this just past rookie draft. He had all but like 5 picks in the first round. And then he got mad because he had to drop people that he had on his team because in the structure we have, your picks have to match your roster. We have a roster limit. We expand our roster limit for the draft. But your picks have to, you have to be down by within five players of our cutoff. Because, you can trade picks during the draft. That's a given.
Yeah.
So we do that, and it works out pretty good. Well, he got mad this year because the way that everybody voted on that, if you're not within that 5-pick range, you start giving up your highest pick and start working down for every player you keep. He contested it, even though he was on board for it when it was established. He started contesting it because he had a pretty good core that he was going to have to start getting rid of or trading off for these picks, or he's going to have to start trading picks. And he was in a predicament where he can't package picks to move up the draft because he don't have to draft. He don't over have to draft. So he can't package to move up because the 5 picks that he didn't own were like 5, 7, 9, and the rest. So he wasn't able to move up. So he couldn't do 2-for-1s or anything. So he was in that real stuck position. But in his mind, he thought several years ago, I'll just keep stockpiling because it's going to be a really good draft class. And it came back to bite him in the ass.
Right.
So I like going maybe a year. But beyond that, I do not like it. I'm totally against going 2 to 3 years out.
Okay, so but you would feel comfortable trading for 2023s right now, is what you're saying?
Right, yeah, because 2022, we're basically in the 2022 draft class. I would not go past the 23 class currently because this is where you land. Right now, here's a league that I've got 1 win. But my team is stacked. But I got 1 win. I have injuries. I have Dobbins. I have ETN. I have Juju. I have Russell Wilson. I have all of these pieces, but they're hurt. Am I truly a 1-8 team? No. I am this year, and I had traded off my first next year. So this guy's going to get basically the 1-1. Because you have to always think in the back of your mind, if my team gets hurt, what value am I trading away? Because in fantasy football, there's no guarantees. Injuries happen. Yeah. McCaffrey shows it. Yes. Dalvin Cook has showed it. Kamara has showed it. Russell Wilson's currently showing it. Aaron Rodgers a few years ago. You're 1 injury away from being holy shit.
So I think the biggest thing that we're taking away from this, let's kind of round this off and close this off, is that if you are sitting in the middle of the pack, just make a decision. There's no wrong decision here. If you believe that you can make a move or two, make those 2 moves that you think can improve your team. You got a wide receiver. Don't be shy at trading away that wide receiver 3 with your quarterback 2 to get a better wide receiver 3. You might only move up a couple points per game, but let's right now, Jason has 2 quarterbacks sitting on his bench every week, no matter what. So getting rid of one of them and improving by 3 fantasy points as wide receiver 3 is a huge move. Don't be afraid to trade away future picks if you're willing to go for a win. But know if you don't win, you're without those rookies and you have to adjust. Also, if you are too scared to trade away future picks, just blow it up. Go into a rebuild. I know it sounds weird to get into this place where you're paying X amount of dollars to not win a league, but rebuilding can be one of the most fun things you can do because who cares? Take a risk. Sell a guy for less than his market value because you don't care. You don't need him. He's not going to help you in 2 years. Guys that go for full rebuilds and can kind of, expose the system and kind of build hard and deep, they will benefit in 2-3 years and they will shine. And everybody in the league is going to be like, how'd you become a good team? Well, you guys all wanted all these old dudes. You guys wanted these 29 plus year olds. So I went and drafted a bunch of 21, 22 year olds that are now at their peak. Keep flipping and turning. And if all else fails, as long as you're not in the middle, you're okay. Rebuild or contend. Do not be a fucking middle of the road dude. It does no good for you and helps you not out. By the way, I'm gonna let you know right now, while we were doing this, because I'm a multitasker and my ADHD just goes like crazy. I sent a trade in one of our leagues and I'm trying to improve one of my running back spots. So hopefully I can do that when this trade goes down. And if you're listening to this, you know I just sent you this trade. Go accept it, okay? It's good for you. Beneficial. You're middle of the pack and you need to get rid of this top tier player and you need to push with better depth or whatever. But that's going to do it here for us on Second and Short and the Cheap Seats podcast. First of all, big thanks to Jake, my brother, for giving us a brand new logo. We're going to have some brand new, animations coming up with that logo as well. I'm really happy and satisfied with how it turned out. And thank you to Jason for getting us a cheap seat view down in Jacksonville as well.
Yeah.
See everything down below us? Follow it. Click it. Follow us. Go to the description. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube as well. Subscribe. So anything else you want to add, Jason, for our middle of the road? Do some shit, guys.
No, I mean, just like I said, after you rank your players, definitely reach out for us. We're here to help you. And that's what you need to take from this. If you are listening, we do appreciate it. We may not hit every time. We're not supposed to. We're not fucking psychic. But we will give you that clarity. We will give you that outside perspective. And, whether you're in a league with us or in a league that we know nothing about, we're here to offer insights. That's why we do this. That's why we put this content out. We're not going to shame you for reaching out because we want to give you that clarity.
Yeah. And the percentage of people that always win is so small that if somebody tells you they win all their leagues every year, fuck them. They're lying to you. Okay. We don't. We win some, we lose some. But the biggest thing is that if we can help you in some way, we're going to. I know earlier in this show, I said, just make a decision. Stop asking us. But if you don't know what to do, reach out. You have to have somebody that you're good friends with that plays Dynasty in the same type of format as you. Ask them or ask us, because we're strangers who will give you a straight and cut answer. And I'll tell you to kick rocks and get rid of those old fuckers on your team, or I'll tell you, hey, it's okay. You got this. All you need is Hunter Renfrow. I'll hit you up and Jason will hit you up and we'll help you out, because that's what we're here to do. Provide fantasy football clarity. We're not here to be right. But if we can help you, we've done our job. And that's it for us. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys after week 10.